Is the scope document training. We're going to be reviewing several different scope documents today and some different communication tools that are out on the pre-construction toolbox. I'm Julie Fogla. I'm in our Minneapolis office and in the pre-con group. So we're going to start off by showing you guys where to get the documents. Let me get it started up here. Okay, so all of the documents are going to be underneath, start under departments, go through construction, office, then there's the pre-construction toolbox. Hopefully you guys have used this before. Then there's the scope document button. So this is going to be the module that we're going to be reviewing today. The design build scope document template is going to be the main document that we'll be looking at. So I'll go ahead and open this. Actually, I'm going to pull up a training one just in case I accidentally delete something. I don't want to edit it out on the green. So the way that this document works, it's sort of a collection of all the different things that you could possibly have on a project into one scope document. You'll notice there's a lot of red boxes like this. This is sort of an instruction to the PMs or whoever's writing the document, and then when you're done, you can go through and just hit delete, and then those will go away, and it should not screw up your formatting. The way that the document is set up is anytime that there's a bracket, that means that it's an area that you need to go in and edit and fill in. So, for example, just your name of your project, you might just type in, Project ABC or Project Avenue, I guess, and go through and delete your brackets, and then just keep moving. For the most part, any place that there is a bracket, there's more than one example. The example we use here is, the sky is blue or gray. So usually only one example is going to apply. So if we're going to say it's blue today, you're going to delete out the rest, and then you just keep moving through your document. There is a table of contents. The table of contents does correspond to all the different page numbers, and it should update automatically, but we did just put a little box here, just a reminder when you're done, just to go through and make sure that it did line up. This heading section, for the most part, you can just delete. It is just an area where, if you start adding a bunch of information and you kind of got lost in your formatting, it's a way to kind of go back up and figure out how it was supposed to be formatted at the different levels. So you go through the general information. If you guys are familiar with, I'll say, the Ryan Standard Scope document, a lot of this has not changed at all. Actually, I'll jump back up to the table of contents. So the general information is all pretty much the same. The biggest difference is that we went through the building systems, and this now aligns with our estimate template. So our estimate template starts with the substructure, then goes into shell, and so on. So the intent is that if you, have dual monitors or however you're doing it, you can go through line by line of your estimate, and you're not scrolling all through your scope document. You can kind of go through it at the same pace and work on your scope document, as you're working through your estimate. There's also the allowances, alternates, and exclusions section at the bottom, which I'm sure you guys are familiar with as well. So just to kind of go through and show you how you might use this document. So let's just say you're doing an office warehouse project. And, maybe we've got 4 acres here. We're going to get rid of the brackets as we go. What I'll typically do is I'm going to leave all the text in red. And at the end, I'll go back through and I'll just highlight all the text that should be black and just change it all to black in one swoop versus doing it individually. It's just a lot less clicks. And I'm not even going to make this comment. Go through and I'm going to say, okay, I've got, 50,000 square foot of office space. So I'm going to start changing these. And the intent is that not every single thing that you might have in your project is going to be listed here, but what we tried to do is we tried to make it so 90% of what you might have is in the document, and you're not having to go think through how should I word this again, or how should I lay this out, or if you're working with an owner that you've worked with several times, you're always showing them the same style document. Okay, so we're going to say it's a 150,000 square foot facility. So we get rid of some brackets. And I don't know if you guys noticed too, this is roughly 80 pages. Seems kind of long, but as you go through and you start deleting stuff that's not applicable to your project, it really shortens up. I would say an average scope document might be 20 pages. but it just all depends on the level of detail that you're going to be providing. You know, okay, so we said it was an office warehouse, so we're not even going to use anything that deals with any housing or apartments or hotels. We're just going to delete that out. You can see big sections can get deleted at once. Once you get into the actual building systems, I usually like to look at the footings and foundations as a good example. You know, the spread footings. So if you don't have spread footings, then you just completely go in and you just delete the whole thing. Maybe you don't have a crane head either, so you can just delete that as well. And maybe, you know, on this next part B, maybe you've got a class 5 versus sand subbase. So you're going to get rid of the sand, and now you're at class 5. You just go through the whole document with that same approach. It's pretty self-explanatory. The other thing that I like to do with this document is it almost serves as a checklist with your estimating template as well. You're going through and maybe with your caissons, you know, you forgot that, yeah, there's bar that sticks out that ties into your footings. And, you know, maybe from a conceptual estimate standpoint, you didn't have that in your number. And you're like, oh, yeah, I need to include that. And, you know, there's some language in here that might remind you of that. So it's even good just to read through some of the information. And maybe you don't want to tell your owner all this information, and then in that case you just, you know, delete whatever sentences you don't want to show them. I can just kind of page through some of the different examples. And again, you know, just like our estimate template, our like the basement section, there's a separate basement section from the footing and foundation. So you might be able to go through and delete 5 or 6 pages at once if you want to locate it in one versus the other, depending on how you want to show that information. So some of the sections are going to be in here more than once. The HVAC section, let's scroll down here. We are still working through that, and we just need to clean it up a little bit. And we are going to be hiring a new HVAC, or I should say mechanical specialist, and we're hoping that that person would be able to clean this section up for us. Which is kind of, right now it's a collection of a lot of different people's HVAC narratives from their scope documents. PMs from all Ryan offices help put this document together. So if some of the nomenclature is not quite what you're used to seeing, that could be why. And we also had to try to write this document, well, I'll say not specific for a certain region. So it sort of had to apply it across to all regions. So again, if there's something that you're like, I don't even know what this is, it's probably maybe something another office uses and that maybe your specific office doesn't. At the end of the document, I'll scroll to the very bottom. I said it's kind of long, but hopefully it's very thorough. Almost there. Okay, so allowances, and not saying that just because it's listed here, you have to have an allowance for each of these. Add in the ones that you know you have that aren't on here, but these are some of them that we thought were kind of standard ones that people might use a lot. Alternates, we didn't even try to guess what people might have as standards, and then exclusions. These are a lot of these are just the standard exclusions that we would put within any contract. This document can be a contract document. It could also just be, you know, a communication tool. It depends on how you want to use it for your specific project. I should also point out that, yes, this is a very long document. We are working on making some, what I'm going to call short forms. The short forms would be, I'll say, more similar to this. And this might be a little shorter than a short form. Well, we have to finalize this as well. But that's going to be more of a summary level where you're not going to want to go into, you know, how far apart your rebar is spaced. So that's coming, and we're still working on that. The other thing that's still coming is we're going through and we're making scope-specific ones, or I should say product-type-specific scope documents. So we've already started, and we've got the industrial one just about complete. So for any of our, you know, large distribution centers or cold storage, there's a document that's already started. It's pretty much the same thing, but we've already gone through and stripped out a lot of the stuff that they would never have, just to make it, you know, so instead of starting with an 80-page document, they're starting with a 60-page document. We're also going to be doing that for housing, for TI, and there's a couple other ones too that I can't think of the name of right now. But so just know that that's coming. If you do have good language on any other document that you are sending out to an owner that you feel like this document didn't word very well or we totally missed something, please send that to your specific pre-con person in each of your offices, and we'll get that back in here. We don't consider this document to be perfect. It's always going to be sort of a work in progress, and we're hoping that all the PMs and everyone can really help us, keep this document improved. So does anyone have any questions specifically on this document? Otherwise, I'm going to show you a couple other tools that are out there. Make sure everyone's unmuted here. Good. Anyone have any specific questions? Kind of went through it pretty fast, but you kind of just need to go through the document yourself and just kind of read through it. I mean, it should be pretty self-explanatory, but if anything comes up, I guess let us know. Okay, so I will show you some of the other tools. This is in the scope matrix examples. So the first one is this design services. Smaller. Okay, so this is really for like design and construction services, and it could be used between design and construction or between construction and owner, and it really is showing what services are included for all the stated fees. And also just so everyone's on the same page knowing, what's included and what's not. It also helps set expectations. So if the owner's asking you to do, 25 different renderings and you don't have it included in your design budget, you can go back to this document and say, we really only had so many, or, we didn't have any at all. And at least that's kind of a place you can say, see, we did show you that. The next, I guess I'll scroll through this just so you guys can kind of get a sense of what's all in here. And again, these are all just tools. You're not going to use them on every single project. Some people might not ever use them, and some people might use them all the time. So they're just out here, hopefully to make your job easier so you're not reinventing the wheel every time you need something like this. Okay. Another one is FFE and OSE responsibility matrix. And zoom out here. So this document would primarily be used like with a hotel or I guess in some cases it could be residential, but mainly a hotel. And it would go through and it would tell the group who's purchasing an item, who's accepting the delivery and storing, protecting it, and who's installing it. An example that I guess is a good one would be like light fixtures. So maybe the GC or maybe the owner or the FFD sub might purchase some of that, but the electrician would be responsible for accepting the delivery of it and making sure that it's stored in a safe spot on the site and then installing it. And this is just a good place that you can communicate that amongst your whole project team. So again, I'll just kind of scroll through so you can kind of see what's here. And again, this is mainly applicable to hotels. But there may be other cases when this could be applicable to another project as well, and you're just not, maybe would change what each of these items are. Okay. Procurement services matrix. So this is a document that I know our Des Moines office has used in the past, and it was really a way that they were able to communicate with an owner, what different services we could provide, and how the contract could be structured differently, and how the services that we're giving them would vary depending on how that contract was structured. So this one probably doesn't get used very often, but it has been used in the past, so we just wanted to throw it out there again in case anybody had to try to sell an owner on design build services. Go through this. And again, take time to run through on your own on the green. These are all out here. The project scope responsibility matrix. This is really for any type of a project. And a lot of it's just communication on who is paying for what between between Ryan and the owner. It can also serve as a checklist, just to make sure that you haven't forgotten something between the two of your budgets. And we'll scroll through this one as well. And if anything, not only is it just a communication tool that has something in writing, but it's a good place just to bring up some of these items just in a discussion. Maybe the owner hadn't thought about, maybe it does make more sense for them to carry a certain consultant. And that, that would be our opportunity to educate them on why it would make sense for us to carry a consultant or why it would make sense for them to carry that consultant. So again, I'll just scroll through. You can kind of see the types of items that are in here. And feel free to take these tools and, edit them, use them. And if you have certain tools that you guys use over and over and over, please send them to us as well, because we'd like to get anything like that posted out on the green so everyone has access to it. Again, the one Ryan mentality, and let's not recreate the wheel every time that someone's trying to do something. And then the other documents, a lot of you might be familiar with, but there's a Shell TI matrix. And there's two different examples here. We are working on improving this one as well and kind of cleaning it up a little bit, but this is sort of a starting point. And yes, it is all filled in already. The intent is that for the most part, where the X's are, that's pretty standard. Like as if it would be in the core and shell budget or if it's in the TI budget. Typically, this document is behind the long scope document in an owner contract, in a design build owner contract, and it is referenced quite often between an owner and, I guess, the PMs, especially in meetings. I know I've used this quite often. It's a great reference point. And again, if anything, it helps bring up that discussion. And I'll scroll through this. So here, if you want to change any of this, it's really just putting an X in the right column. A lot of these tools are pretty self-explanatory, and really the intent of the training was just to, again, raise awareness that these are out there, and then just to kind of let people know on the long document, the scope document, just kind of how to edit that. So this is a really fast training. It's probably one of the quickest ones. I don't think I missed anything, but I'm wondering who has a question on any of these documents. And I will unmute you. Hold on. Okay, everyone should be unmuted. You can also send me a chat if you don't want to talk. Otherwise, if you guys don't have questions, that's it for this training. It's a pretty quick one, so for all you busy people, I'm sure you'll appreciate that.
I had a quick question.
Yeah.
I had to miss the first portion of this. I was wondering, where are these recordings found? Are they on the green?
They are, and I'll show you. Departments, construction, office, and then pre-construction toolbox. I don't know if you've seen this dashboard before, but it's just all in the scope documents.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
But that's what it is. Yeah. We did this page of scope documents one. And then the big long one is here, and all those other ones are in the scope matrix examples. Anyone else have any questions? And again, please, if you have good examples that you've used in the past, please send us that language. And if anything, maybe we'll use part of it, and it'll help everyone else out too. So, all right, I'm not seeing any other questions through the chat. I'm not hearing any others. And if anyone wants to be a part of writing any of these other scope documents, let us know. I know you're all looking for more things to do.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.